All right, this is kind of a test to see how live streaming works, but today is my first live stream ever, and it's my second day of my Dragon Boon quest. uh, First day was I left at like 11 from New Jersey to Punxsutawney, PA. Figure I'd start there because it has significance for me personally, I guess, even though I've never been there. Um, I was born on February 1st, and February 1st or February 2nd are like the one of the eight um, like points on the calendar that have like significance in the sky clock. So there's the spring equinox. It's when the day is as long as the night, and but it's moving towards the day being longer than the night. It's around Easter time, right? It's like right around now. There's the summer solstice. There's the fall equinox and the winter solstice. Winter solstice is the shortest day, longest night. Summer solstice is longest day, shortest night. And fall equinox is the opposite of spring equinox. It's the midpoint. Both night and day is equal, but it's moving towards the night. But in between them, there's 4 points, right? February 1st or 2nd, Groundhog Day, and then the other three. Well, Groundhog Day, Punxsutawney Phil. That's why I chose that as the spot to start, because I was born on February 1st, which is that day where it's in between the spring equinox and the winter solstice. And my family, on my dad's side, they're Sicilian, and they have this tradition where they every firstborn male gets the name of the grandfather. So two names end up popping up throughout the whole family line. And the two names in my family line are Philip and Pasquale. Punxsutawney Phil, right? And I was born on February 1st, day before Groundhog Day. And Pasquale means Easter, the spring equinox, which is right around Easter's in what, 2 days now? That's why I left the other day, yesterday. Was it? Yeah, I guess it was yesterday. I left yesterday, 4/6. But yeah, that's why I chose Punxsutawney to start this little journey. And my goal is to do a few things. Sit up straight and not be a weirdo. To do a few things. It's to figure out if this Salina Canyon, Utah cave is real, and there's actually a 120-foot long winged dragon located there. Like I said in my last post about following up with what waking up with Analog had on his Twitter about the dragon bone article or whatever I want to call it. I want to see if that's real. And the Smithsonian has still not gotten back to me. At first, they got back to me real quick because they thought, and I did too, that the newspaper article, I would bring it up, but it's my first live stream. I don't know how to do that yet. But go watch my last video. I bring up the actual newspaper article where it says that some guy found a 120-foot long winged dragon in a cave west of town, 55 miles west of town. I thought the town was Omaha because that's the newspaper, right? It's Omaha, Nebraska. Well, Omaha. When I asked the Smithsonian and through email, I bring up the emails on the video actually. Uh, they were like, they got a real kick out of it, basically. They thought it was kind of funny, but interesting. Thought it was interesting, but not just goofy, because they, as soon as they looked into it, they realized that that there's no caves 5 miles west of Omaha, so they could laugh it off, right? Well, I was kind of disappointed because the guy did like a big investigation, figured out that no, this can't be real, and he said the guy who brought the whole thing up, named Mr. Hardy, he displayed like shady hoax-like behavior, right? So I was disappointed because it wasn't real. That's what I thought. The guy convinced me. But then, like, I don't know, like a week later, I say this all in the video. Like a week later, I started remembering like there was something to do with Utah in the whole thing. So I reread the article, and the article isn't talking about Omaha. It's talking about Salina Canyon, Utah, and right around Salina Canyon, Utah, not 5 miles west, like I said in the video, which was me jumping the gun. But right around Salina Canyon, Utah, is a Black Dragon Canyon. It's like 50 miles east, actually. And then there's also something 5 miles west of Salina, the actual town of Salina in Utah, is Beehive Peak. And if you look at Beehive Peak, and Utah is the Beehive State. You look at Beehive Peak of the Beehive State. It's a giant pyramidal structure. It looks like, they say it's a mountain, but it looks like a pyramid. And I think that's where the actual bones are, in that place. And it's like a beehive. But they called it Beehive Peak and Beehive State because they called it Beehive State because Utah has so many like anomalies that it's like if people ever figure it out, it'll disturb the beehive and just be like mass chaos. I think that's the reason why they call it Beehive. Like if anyone actually looks into Utah, there's all kinds of crazy like historical stuff in Utah. And there's all kinds of weird stuff in Utah. Anyway, and the weirdest thing of Utah, of Beehive State, would be the Beehive Peak, right? And I think the dragon bones are underneath Beehive Peak. Now I looked at the article, and the way the guy found it, the cave, I've never done. I guess I kind of have, but the article says that the guy went down a 3-meter hole of cave, went down 80 feet, and then it opened up to a massive cavern where he found the bones, 120-foot long winged dragon bones. So I don't know. Basically, when I was driving towards the end of my drive to Punxsutawney to start this little journey, I was thinking like, yeah, I'm going fucking crazy. This is fucking stupid. What am I doing? And I wanted to just drive back home to Jersey. But I kept going or whatever, and I got to Punxsutawney, and I hated Punxsutawney. Even though it's a beautiful town, there's like, you got the rolling like mountains in the background. You have like, I don't know. It's a beautiful town, but it's always like, it felt like West Point, and I hated West Point. I used to go to West Point. It's like a town that is in the mountains with like beautiful structures, but it's always gloomy. It's always gray. It's always like, it always feels like winter, basically. It's like Winterfell almost. That's what Punxsutawney gave me the feels of. And that same day, I watched one of Owen Benjamin's recent video, and he's talking about how he felt the same day I was feeling this. He felt like a sense of dread from money or something, and I was feeling dread from being in this freaking town. And eventually, after watching that, it kind of went away, and I decided to keep going with the journey. And now I am in my second day. I am in Ohio. I'm not going to say the town, but I'm in a hotel right now in Ohio, headed towards the Ozarks. For some reason, I have to go to the Ozarks first before I go to Utah. One, to look at land, because they have a lot of properties for sale in Arkansas, Ozarks. I think Arkansas is actually the real Ozarks. Because think about it, like Arkansas, Missouri has nothing to do with that, right? It's more likely to be in Arkansas, the actual Ozarks, than in Missouri. There's also the Oz Ark, Wizard of Oz. There's definitely something going on with the Ozarks. That's all I'm saying. And I want to go there. That's my next stop. But I'm probably gonna have to do like a couple more stops before I get there. Then go to Utah. It's on the way anyway, so it's not like I'm going out of my way to go to the Ozarks. But anyway, that's where I'm at now with this little endeavor. Some other stuff I want to talk about is Old World Florida channel. He's got some cool videos. He's really good with the like the word etymology magic or whatever. Like and he thinks basically his whole thing is that he thinks Florida is the Garden of Eden. And I kind of agree with him from his evidence or whatever. It sounds like Florida actually is the Garden of Eden. I mean, it meets all the criteria. It's always fertile. It's always like the perfect conditions for growing food. It has the golden apple, which is the orange. Oranges originate from Florida, right? All kinds of stuff. Weirdest thing is a bunch of people from New Jersey always, like, whenever anyone retires in New Jersey, they get a house in Florida where they go during the winter. Like, everyone does it. All the boomers get a house in Florida. All the New Jersey boomers, every single one, basically, entire towns. When they turn, I don't know, when they get their retirement, they seem to all get a house in Florida. Why Florida, right? Like, you could go to the Bahamas, or like, you know what I mean? Like, why Florida? It's like a subconscious thing almost, I think. Like, they know that it's the Garden of Eden, kind of. And they know there's something to it. There's some etheric energy pulling them in. But yeah, I've been watching his stuff, and his most recent call, he had a woman, I think her name is Michelle, I forget though. I think she listed a channel, I forget what the channel was though. But she started saying some crazy stuff that I think I would be able to help her a lot. She was basically saying that she started looking, let me turn this thing off because it's bothering me. Nope, that's not gonna work. She basically started saying that she can relate the sky clock astrological signs to computer circuitry. And like she was saying, like the CPU is the sun, the moon is the GPU, the SATA card is Saturn, the oh man, I'm forgetting. Let me think. The SCSI is Scorpio. And she was spot on all of them. And she's right about the materials too. Like Pluto, she had it mapped as the floppy disk. And Pluto's extinct, right? Floppy disk is extinct. And I don't know what the element of Pluto is, but she was saying that even the elements of it match. I forget what she had as Mercury. I think it was MSU. I forget the actual component in the computer, but it matched. Like the component actually had Mercury in it. Like it matched perfectly. Same with I wish I knew the element for Saturn. What is the element for Saturn? Let me look it up. Alchemical elements. Chemical elements to planet. Mercury, Venus is copper, Mercury's mercury, Sun's gold, Moon's silver, Mars is iron, Jupiter's tin, Saturn's lead. And then what else we got here? I think that's it. All right, yeah, so lead would be SATA. And I bet if you look into SATA connections, lead will be involved somehow. And what were the other ones? Venus is copper, Sun is gold, Mars iron. I don't know. It really was resonating with me. I don't know. And if you ever look into how transistors work, which is how computers work, without transistors, you can't have modern computing, can't have digital computing, because a transistor is a way to do a 0 and 1 without turning off the component. So you can do it's like the difference between, excuse me, like a 0.3 voltage and 0.5 voltage or something like that. Like it's a voltage difference that it can accurately 100% measure every single time. It's a gate. So electricity will come down the line or whatever and hit the transistor, and it either go to the 0.3 volt path or the 0.7 volt path, whatever. But that's what makes computing even possible, digital computing, because they always have to have the power supply on. Analog, you could just do on off to make that computer. Supposedly. But yeah, if you ever look into the transistors, they have the like hottest properties, man. Like it feels like transistors are like a magic spell. That's what they feel like when you look into how they're made and like how they work. They only work when they're 99, when the metals inside of it are 99.99% pure. And the Japanese, there's a documentary on it. The Japanese were trying to make transistors during the 80s, and they would it was germanium, that was the metal, and they were trying to get germanium to merge with a crystal and another piece of germanium to make this transistor. And they tried for days, the guy says. They couldn't get it to work. It doesn't matter how clean they got the germanium, whatever. And then they realized that the only factor that mattered was that they were 99.99% pure. And then the transistor actually worked as it's supposed to. But why? Why is that a thing? Right? Like, that's such a random freaking thing, right? Why would an element have that property? That's so weird. I think it, in a way, it's a magic. I think it's a magic freaking spell. Someone is doing that as a magic spell. I don't know. I don't know who or who originated all of it, but that's what it feels like. Because it makes no sense why would God put that into a element where it has normal properties like every other metal, but if you make it 99% pure and put a certain current through it at a certain frequency, it'll split off into two different paths. That's like almost fucking random. There's no way. I think that that's man-made. That was added to the element. That's what I think. Like the metals all the elements are fascinating. We're getting a lot of talks about that recently. Mainly what really governs the elements isn't atomic weight. And you can even do this in the periodic table of elements that they give us, which if you stretch it out with the lanthanides and the lactanides, I think it's called, if you actually insert them into the periodic table of elements, you get like a giant key almost. And I still think it's a horrible model. Look at the periodic table of elements. The thing's disgusting to look at. There's no way a creator would make a world so divine with a structure like the periodic table of elements. That's nonsense. But I mean, by its own, it's supposed to follow the atomic weight, I'm pretty sure. And it doesn't. There's a couple elements that don't follow that. They just go, oh, well, it doesn't matter for this one. I forget the actual elements. I mentioned it before somewhere. But one of them is element 18 and element 19. Let me look at them real quick. I think one's phosphorus, but I don't know. No, potassium, that's one. Potassium. Yeah, potassium and argon. Argon is heavier than potassium. So therefore should be 19, not 18. But it's 18 and potassium's 19. It breaks its own freaking rules. I wish I knew how to share a screen, but potassium is. Let me find a better picture. Oops, sorry. Oh my God, shit. Yeah, potassium should be, according to this one I'm looking right now, potassium should be the 15th element because its atomic weight is 30.10. Then phosphorus, which is the 15th element currently, is 30.97. Sulfurs is 32.07. Cl, what's that? Chloride is 35.45. And then argon is 39.95 at 18. And then potassium is number 19 at 30.10 atomic weight. But everything else follows atomic weight. And there's a couple instances where this happens, where it just breaks its own rules, just so it can meet their little cloud electron model, or whatever you want to call it. I think it has to do with alchemy, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's what I'm getting into recently. I still don't. I think it has to do with the cymatics, basically frequency and music. Basically, I'm not a music guy. That's my weakness, I guess. I need to learn an instrument or something. But the frequency of the astrological chart seems to govern everything. It's like I don't know how would I call it, like a seed number in like a roguelike video game. If you put the same seed, if you put the same seed number in, you'll get the same results every time, even though it's supposed to be random, right? That's what your astrological chart matches to. And then I think your name also has something to do with it. Because being called by your name every single day of your life by your parents, people who raised you, people who gardened you, garden your seed, by your friends, cousins, whatever. That's like a resonant tone that has to feed into you. You know what I mean? Like it's like the boy named Sue or whatever. That was like a resonant tone given to a male, even though it's a woman's name, to make the male lash out against it and become even more like of a male. But that's because everyone would call him Sue, right? I used to have a teacher whose name was oh my god, what was his first? I forget his first name, but he was Mr. Faggin Butts. That's what the dude's name was, Faggin Butts. The guy was kind of a badass, to be honest with you. He was a track coach and he taught chemistry, and he took no shit from anyone. He was like 6'2". I don't know, pretty tough dude. It seemed like, because if your last name is Faggin Butts, you're gonna be a tough dude, right? Or you're gonna be the biggest faggin butt. You know what I mean? But isn't that like a resonant cymatic thing where you're always getting called that? So you either go completely against it or you adapt it. You know what I mean? I think that's how names come into it. Names in astrology. Because I've been doing research into my astrology or whatever, and it's like spot fucking on, like crazy one. February 1st, 1989, Voorhees, New Jersey. And yeah, I need to get like a person who's like, I don't know, awake, that does these kind of things, to do a chart for me. Because I don't understand the difference between, well, I haven't looked into it as much. There's all, like, if you go to that website where you can find your star chart or whatever, there's like 20 different options you can put for like the type of astrological chart you want to use, sidereal or tropical, or all this stuff. So I don't know how to even navigate that. But I need someone to help me out with that. And I think that the old Florida dude, or Christopher Gardner, would be good at it. He seems good at it. My only issue with their systems is the system of Dale Pond, who's the guy who came up with, who didn't come up with. He figured out how John Kelly's devices worked, and Kelly puts it to. I'm probably wrong about this. I have to recheck it, but he puts the 14 months, not 13, 14. And Dale Pond puts them up on the screen. I'm pretty sure he says 14 months, not 13. So 14 moon cycles of 28 days, not 13 moon cycles of 28 days, which is like totally different than all the, like even the truther astrology or whatever. So I gotta look at that again. So disregard if I might be wrong about that. But yeah, Dale Pond would be he'd be a good dude to get an astrology chart from. He's I called him one time. he seemed like a jaded, like an Eric Dollard almost, like super jaded and just like tired. But he seemed kind of cool. I don't know. He was at the grocery store when I called him, and I was asking about something that he mentions in one of his lectures about John Kelly going up to a chalkboard and writing a certain symbol on the chalkboard, and the machine that he had made would start spinning because of the vibration from the symbol. Like, I asked him that. I asked Dale Pond that. And he's like, it wasn't the symbol. It was the human mind force reaction to the symbol. So, like, the translator of the symbol is what is actually producing the force, the mind force. So humans are producing the force, not the symbol. That's how these symbols are being used to control people. Basically, the humans translate it. So when you see 666, if it's associated with evil, Satan and shit, then that's what's going to manifest. Because humans will think that the 666 means evil, when really it's just a spiraling line. That's it. It's nothing else. But humans apply something to it, and then it like that mind force gets put out. You know what I mean? But I still kind of wanted to know what the symbol he put on there that made everyone's vibration elevate, right? Like a heart, maybe. I remember when I was looking through old notebooks from when I was a kid, and like I was looking at my doodles or whatever, and the two main doodles I was doing was the cool S, where you do like three lines, and then you like connect them, and it makes that like blocky S, the cool S. If you look up the cool S, you'll know what I'm talking about. I had like thousands of doodles of that, and the other doodle was Goku from Dragon Ball Z with the crazy hair. And I think the crazy hair has something to do with the prickly goosebumps. And like the cats, if you can watch videos of cats like scaring like 30-foot alligators, not 30-foot, really big alligators or crocodiles or whatever, and they'll like sprint away, petrified of the cat, even though it's just a tiny little cat, because it does that little thing where it like pricks up all of its hairs and like stands on its legs, you know what I mean? And all the hair goes up, like Goku or Dragon Ball Z, right? It's like a prickly goosebump thing. It's like a spike in it. You can manually spike that. That's what it seems like. And then when the crocodile sees that, crocodile can't do that. Crocodile has no hair. It probably can't even feel prickly goosebumps. So when the crocodile sees that, it's like, I don't know. It'd be like the feeling. it's kind of embarrassing, but like the feeling I would get like when I was a kid and my dad was pissed at me or something, and I knew I was about to get my ass kicked or something like that. You get that, like you can see his prickly goosebumps that are like blown out, and yours were like backing away. Like I don't know, it's kind of like an intimidation thing almost, but I don't know. It's fascinating how your hair goes up or whatever. That's why Goku has the hair or whatever. In cats. I think prickly goosebumps also ties into Wim Hof. I got a couple different takes on the way in which his breathing technique works. I used to think it had to do with the cold, because the cold gives you the prickly goosebumps, and the pineal gland is a mulberry-shaped piezoelectric calcite crystal. So when pressure is applied, voltage is produced, and that would be felt as the prickly goosebumps. That's what it would feel like. And I don't know if you play sports or something, and you got the prickly goosebumps. What happened after that? I bet you did something that you never could do before, right? Like you went beyond your limits because of the prickly goosebumps or whatever. So you broke the laws of the universe for your body because of the prickly goosebumps, right? Yeah, love it. Love your videos, Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, by prickly goosebumps, I mean Ren in Hunter x Hunter. It's called Ren, Hunter x Hunter. And you even look up the description of it. They say it's feels like prickly bumps. I don't know. They basically just say it's the prickly goosebumps. But I gotten it a few times working out. This makes me think this is the reason why people wear headphones while they're working out. They wear headphones because they want to get like their motivating song to go off. This is why I would wear headphones when I worked out. I wanted like whatever song I was into at the time to go off when I was on my last set, or like a set that I would normally fail at. If I got that music to go off, then I would not fail. I would break my limits and finish the set. You know what I mean? I think that's why people subconsciously do the music while they're working out. And I've had it happen once in a couple times in football, and once in track. The track example is by far the best example that I had. I used to run the 400-meter dash, which is like one lap around the track, and my time, I hovered around like 52.9 or 53 or something like that, which is like, I don't know, it's all right. And but that was my time all year, my senior year. I like didn't sniff anything below like a 52.8 or 9 or something like that. And this one time only happened once. I was running around like when you run the 400, you're basically running 99% speed for the first 300 meters, and then the last 100 meters, you're just trying to get to the finish line without collapsing. Basically, that's how I run it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's how you're supposed to run it. Really, you're supposed to run it like that, but you're supposed to be able to keep the speed the whole way. But no one actually can do that unless you're like an Olympian or something. And still, watch the Olympians. You can see that they're tired as shit in that last 100 meters. They're just trying to make it to the end. But this one time I did this race. I don't know, I was like 18. It was like 15 years ago. And I was coming around the 300-meter mark, and I was just about to get to that point where all my muscles lock up, and I'm just like just trying to get to the end. And I saw this girl I had a crush on in the stands cheering her ass off for me. And instead of like locking up, I got prickly goosebumps. And instead, I didn't lock up. Instead, I went into a different gear and I ran faster that last 100 meters. Like my uh, body was like, you don't have to worry about oxygen right now because of the prickly goosebumps. And the prickly goosebumps is electricity, basically, right? If it's really the piezoelectric crystal or piezoelectric pineal gland, then it's electricity. So the electricity is like maybe like fueling the cells. So they had the prickly goosebumps. They only last like 10 to 15 seconds. But I suspect that that can be trained to last like way longer. Like imagine getting the prickly goosebumps for like 10 minutes. That'd be insane. That's why I think it's Ren, like the guy Chuck from Hunter x Hunter. I think that's why I think it's Ren. It's something you have to train to get to hold for longer lengths manually. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah, the other. I used to think that about Wim Hof's method, that it had to do with alkalinity, which made the blood less viscous, which means like less sticky. So it was more fluid because he was doing that certain breathing or whatever, and it had to do with the cold temperatures, which gave him the prickly goosebumps, which is the pineal gland having a pressure applied to it to produce electricity. And the points around the pineal gland, like all the brain functions around the pineal gland, are all related to like all like the unconscious bodily functions, like body temperature, which is what he's known for, like nerve and pain. I forget the exact like function, but it's basically every unconscious function of the human body. And you have really low viscous blood from his breathing technique, and you have the electricity going off in your head. So you're kind of controlling your blood around that location in your head. I think that was my first theory for how Wim Hof stuff works. But I now think it doesn't have to do with that. It might be. I don't know. I think I got a better theory. It's about pressure differences. When Wim Hof does his little breathing technique, what he's doing is he's hyperventilating. So taking in a lot of breath quickly, and then he's holding his breath. That's a massive pressure difference that creates a vacuum, which follows the path of least resistance, which I think is whatever he's trying to do. Like if he's trying to run in the cold or something, or run a marathon without ever running a marathon before. That's where that vacuum closes towards, because that's what the path of least resistance that he set. Yeah, I really think the path of least resistance is the key to Keely, and it's how like magic could work. That's a part of this, a small part of it. Like with Hunter x Hunter, I think, and what I'm talking about, all the techniques or like abilities in Hunter x Hunter, Nen, It's all conditional belief magic. Like it's a way to build your etheric belief pressure to make a vacuum that causes the path of least resistance, which breaks the laws of the universe, like the prickly goosebumps, or like I don't know, anything. You can make it. You can make the conditions anything. Like if you watch, I talked about this in one of my last videos. But if you watch any like rapid hypnotist, it's fascinating because none of them like all their like conditions that they have to set are similar, but none of them are the same. They all like chose those conditions to get the person to go into a hypnosis, like a hypnotic state, like in like 5 seconds, really quick. It's all like it's usually consent based, and I don't know, it has something to do with like looking at something. Like even the most famous hypnotist, uh, like I don't know, method is watch, right? The pocket watch. Watch it go back and forth, back and forth. Um, but yeah, like hypnotism is proof of all of this shit, basically. You they can hypnotize people to do like insane shit, to believe that like they'll believe it to the point that they will break the limits of their body. That's basically what this magic is, I think. And there's I don't know, there's this Russian, I think he's Russian, and he supposedly trains assassins. Now I'm starting to sound crazy, but you watch him and there's like these dudes boxing, right? And he comes up and he starts speaking Russian. I have no idea what he's speaking, but he puts the gloves on or whatever to play along, and he squares up with the dude. And at first they're like kind of jabbing or whatever. Then the guy goes like he does some movement. He goes like brings him down like that, and the guy freezes and falls to the ground and can't move. How? Like there was no like he wasn't. It was rapid hypnosis basically. I asked Giuseppe Filato, who knew about these type of people, and he's a professional hypnotist, a really good one actually. He said it was the conditioned response. That's how I went down this rabbit hole. A conditioned response is something from a hypnotist. It's a hypnotist term. But the rapid, if you watch any rapid hypnotist, they all have like you can obviously see their conditions, but this dude's conditions you can't see. Like they were hidden. He didn't tell you what the conditions were, but they still hypnotize you. That's wild. Like that means that the other guy's subconscious agreed to the terms, gave consent to it. You know what I mean? Like, but he never said anything to the guy. He didn't tell him what he was going to do. He didn't ask him like, "Are you okay with being hypnotized?" Like that's what a lot of the rapid hypnotist people say. He didn't say any of that shit. He just hypnotized the guy and froze him, and he falls to the ground. I mean, I'm sure that would be extremely useful if you were a assassin or something. But yeah, it's kind of like hypnotism. I think that the belief pressure aspect of this is like hypnotism, kind of. It's also like the placebo effect, like when you get the conditions. You're making conditions to build your belief pressure, but really, it all depends on your belief system. Do you believe? Like, I don't know, man. It's fascinating, but hard to explain. It's like, the Princess Bride. You know how like they think he's dead, the main guy. Very slowly through my news. Yeah. I can see that. He says, I've always found hyperventilation ridiculous. Personally, I have only had luck with breathing very slow through my nose until it feels like I am breathing out when in, and vice versa. Compression. Uh, yeah, I kind of agree with that. But with the, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like when I look at the Russians when they do what Wim Hof is basically doing, the Russians don't call it like some breathing technique. They just call it properly breathing. And it's like they like breathe to feel lightheaded. That means they're going too slow, and it's like they use it to like distract themselves from pain when they're about to like I don't know like on a mission or something, and they got to really focus and not ignore some like crazy thing going on. They focus on the breathing like that, and it's similar to Wim Hof, but they don't do the whole breath part of it. But it's not quite hyperventilation. It's like right below that or right above it. I don't know. Uh, but that kind of sounds like what you're saying. Uh, yeah, very slow. I've noticed I've noticed that when I wake up in the morning, I can breathe like super deep breaths through my nose and my stomach and then out. But I can't do that normally during the day. It's only like right after I wake up. I think it has something to do with the digestive system. I don't know. Like my stomach's clear. That's why I can do it. But what do you think about pie? What do you think about um, people breathing from their stomach compared to breathing from their lungs? Like the stomach area, not the actual stomach. Um, I think we're supposed to breathe through our stomach, but we are like unconscious breathing is through the lungs. I think the lungs are actually for something else, but